Unscripted, unshackled, uncouth.
What you're about to hear is for more mature audiences only.
It's Miguel and Holly, Uncensored.
We back. We back. We really, really back.
Hey.
We gone to be gone for a little bit. By the way, we're doing this challenge on the show. If you listen to the live show, you can hear it at 6:50 tomorrow or at 9:27 random radio times when stuff lands.
Very specific.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's the thing about radio is like you can't like tell specific times because the music and commercials, by the time we talk, it's like it's gonna be at 9:10. Really, it's 9:12. But
sometimes
like
we're early.
Right? Mm-hmm. It's 9:08. But who's gonna remember that?
Nobody.
So that's why it's hard in radio to really truly be like
nobody talks like that. Like if you're gonna meet your friend for lunch, you'd be like, hey, you want to meet at like 11:27? I'll be there. I might be like 90 seconds early.
Right.
But I'll be there.
Like here's some of the things that like radio that we talk about that you as a non-radio person would find completely ridiculous. I have legit had serious arguments and serious discussions with bosses over, you know how like if you listen to our on-air show, you'll hear me go, what did Holly do that was scandalous? Find out in 2 songs. Or they'll want me to go find out after Doja Cat, but right now it's Michelle Branch.
Right.
Or find out at 9:25. I've legit had
sometimes people will be like, find out next. Very vague.
Right. Like I have legit had serious debates with bosses about what's the best verbiage. And I'm like,
and there's different theories. Like different bosses have different theories on what works better to keep you listening. Because you all know already. Like our goal is to keep you listening for as long as possible. That's just the goal. But that's not just radio. That's anybody. TV, podcasters. Everybody wants your attention. And so in that social media, why do you think social media is so sneaky about being like, hey, did you see what your ex just posted? Did you see? And if you don't click on it, they're like, well, what about that girl from high school you hate? Oh, okay, now you clicked. Like they want you in their app. They want your time. Your time is the hottest selling commodity on the planet. And so that's all we want. We want your time. And we got to figure out what we need to say to get your time.
Give me your time.
We used to have a 2-minute promise back in the day at my old station. And that was always the thing.
What was the 2-minute promise?
Back in 2 minutes.
Oh,
every spots going for 2 minutes?
For 2 minutes. I mean, we had 4 stop sets, which for those who don't know, stop sets are where all the commercials play. So before we would have a break and it'd be like, yeah, we'll be back in 2 minutes. And I don't know why. I felt like that's, as a listener, I would have liked that, just 2 minutes of commercials in different increments of time. But
maybe that would be better. Because
you know what?
Part of my programming brain is like, you're stopping down 4 times, but like, what does anybody care if they know it's going to be for 2 minutes?
That's a good tactic. I'm curious, you watching right now, because obviously for you listening, we do the show live on the Miguel and Holly Facebook and YouTube channel and the Hits 961 Facebook page, which I need to look and see, does anyone watch it on that Facebook page? Because it's mostly people that haven't heard us yet. So they're probably like, who?
They're like, who is this?
But you watching right now, let's do an informal poll for the people that actually engage with radio, which is you. What would get you to stick around more? If I go, Holly's boob popped out, but where? Find out in 2 songs. Find out after Doja Cat, but right now it's the Black Eyed Peas. Or find out next. Which one?
Or find out in 10 minutes or like a specific number.
Or find out in 6 minutes, which usually is 2 songs.
Yeah.
Which one will get you to stick around closer? Because we all have our theories on what I fight for is always to say in 2 songs. To me, 2 songs is like, you don't have to remember time. Because in my mind, my reasoning is that if I say, let's say it's in 2 songs, if I go in 6 minutes or after Doja Cat, but right now it's the Black Eyed Peas, that's a lot for you to remember when I'm just giving you your tease.
Right.
As opposed to me just being like, I'll tell you where her boob popped out in 2 songs.
Yeah. I'm curious, and like if you think I'm not answering this, just answer it.
Right.
Because we're curious. Like this is a big part of our job, even though it sounds
It sounds so stupid.
insane. Like it sounds insane. You have no idea how many meetings we've been in where we've had to talk about this exact topic. So
let's see here. As people are, we'll give you time to answer. Lord Top Life is checking in. Francisco's checking in. Janelle, Shannon, Zinda. I do not know how to pronounce that. I'm so sorry.
LJ.
LJ?
We'll go with LJ.
LJ checking in. Anne Marie's checking in.
Calf. Maybe that's the
And Brian is checking in as well.
Hello.
All right, let's see what some people are saying here. Let's see. Anne Marie says, I like 2 songs, perfect timing. Shannon says option 4, I like the timestamp. So if need be, I can tune back in if I have to step away.
So like in 6 minutes or at 7:35. Which one was that? Did we say?
That was the timestamp.
This is what happens. But which the timestamp? So we say we'll be back at 7:35.
Yeah,
or
that was the
in
timestamp.
6 minutes. Okay.
Janelle said, I like the next option. I'm usually in the car and driving to work. I can't sit in the car and wait to hear it. Let's see. Francisco said, I mean, I will stick around no matter what, but for me, in 2 songs, it's perfect. Doe said, in 2 songs seems definite enough for me. Cassie said, the minutes, because I'm usually in the car and I know if it's limited time.
Okay.
And then Shannon's clarifying. She said, I like the timestamp of like at 7:35. And
Got
Alexa said, prefer 2 songs. Sometimes when it's a set time, it doesn't always match.
That's the biggest concern I have, because you have no idea the mental gymnastics going on. The system we work with now is better at letting us know when it's going to hit. But prior to this, I'm telling you, the mental fortitude of trying to figure out when it would be is too much.
Right. So do y'all want to hear some really inside radio stuff? So the system we use now, like Holly said, it's great. I can tell before we go into a segment, I can say, all right, Holly, you need to finish trending in the Queen City in 2 songs, because right now, before we even open up the microphones, the commercials are going to hit at 7:08. So if you talk for 2 minutes, that's going to give enough.
2 minutes, not 2 songs. You said finish it in 2 songs.
I'm sorry, in 2 minutes. Yes. Yeah. Finish the segment in 2 minutes, because then by the time I get the tease at the end of it, we can be in commercials by 12 after.
We always have to know when we're going into commercials.
Right. That's very important. So, and this is super behind the scenes. I hope you're really interested in
I'm
this.
sure everyone is like, this is super boring.
I know. I hope. I'm
Just
sorry.
entertain us.
But I love talking about this stuff because it's like the stuff no one ever like asks about or knows, but it's this serious discussions go into this. So this system we use here with iHeartRadio, it tells me time of what's coming up. But the only thing that can F me up is if they all of a sudden were like, all right, Miguel, I need you to say specific times for when segments go. It doesn't tell me when we're in the middle of a talk break, because the whole system is paused.
It's paused.
Right. So it doesn't let me know until I hit go what times things land for what's coming up. So that's the like mental gymnastics. And I don't do math good, girl. So
no, nobody. We always say we do like radio math, which is like how much time is it going to take for one song to end and this thing to start or whatever. But like, yes. And back in the day, that was a long time ago. Like there was no automation system. So like you got to throw on November Rain and just make a dash for it. but like, it's so that you have no idea. And I know we're blathering on about timing, but timing almost more than there's several things that are like you've got several plates in the air of things that you need to make sure you're doing very well. But timing, I don't think anyone that's not in radio would realize how critical timing is in our job. Like it's not just a free for all. Unlike some talk stations. At talk stations, it's a free for all. They just want you to blah, blah, blah. All you need to do is make sure you get to your commercials on time.
Have you guys
music stations, it's critical timing. Sorry, go ahead.
Have you guys started sticking up for yourselves when people or maybe friends, family members nonchalantly come for us? They'll be like, man, your job is just so easy. Like all you do is talk.
Bitch.
Well,
I think thankfully because I've
Nobody
had my
dares
friends
say that shit to me anymore.
No. Well, I also think too, because of the nature of our show, most people, if they have any clue or have listened, I hope you can tell we put a lot of work into our show. And there are different types of morning shows, and there is literally, into the bottom of my heart, zero shade, because doing a show like a single person morning show where it's just you, like you did, Kelvin, where it's just you, even though you're playing a lot of music, you're still in that room by yourself at 6 a.m. in the morning, and you still have to be entertaining and engaging with yourself, even though you're playing a lot of music and you're not doing long form content like we do. That's still hard work to do. And
by
so,
yourself. There's no one to bounce anything off of. I was talking to one of our former coworkers, Danielle, and when there's like especially when there's like a tragedy that happens, you are drowning in just you only have like the random person who calls in to hopefully try to converse with and hope that they're good at it.
Right.
I give you so much credit, Kelvin, because that's not what I would prefer. I would not. I would. It would be difficult. Like I jocked radio for like a very long portion of my career, but anchoring, like hosting down a one-person morning show, oof, that's very difficult.
The most boring 9 months of my life, and then I quit to join
Now you're
y'all.
here. Hey, welcome.
Well, thank you. Let's see here. Shannon said, and I'm in the car less nowadays, so I usually follow along via streaming services. And Marie said, there's so much behind the scenes we have no clue about. I find it very interesting. Talk away, please. And Francisco said, if you think this is boring, please leave. I'm always here for some inside information about how the radio show works. Yeah, it is. It is a lot. Like that's probably when people ask me the difference between, our station here in Charlotte and where we were in Tampa, one of the main differences for me in hosting the show is that the last 2 years, our old producer, he ran the board and he kept time on stuff as much as possible because Holly and I would blah, 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 blah.
This has been our issue since kindergarten because I know, Miguel, at some point you got a report card back that says talks too much or shares inappropriately with friends or whatever.
Yes.
So this has been our issue lifelong because I got report cards back with that notated. So clearly we got a talking problem and that translates to radio. And I can't tell you how many times in my career I've had some consultant or boss or just person in the room be like, you really need to just tighten it up. And they've had so many different ways of saying it. They've said it rude. They've said it concerned. They've said it in a mean way. They've said it in an exasperated way. They've said it in a helpful and guiding way, but all of it's the same. Shut the hell up.
Right. Well,
get to your point quicker. Get to your point quicker, not shut the hell up.
I think what happens, and because I've edited a lot of our audio for the past, 15 years now, almost, has it been 15 years? I know that I have a tendency to dip out of a conversation mentally and be thinking about something that's coming up. And so then when I'll come in, I'll notice that I'll have said something that's already been said. That's my issue when it comes to talking a lot. Holly, your issue from editing the show from years is that you'll make a point, it'll be a great point, and then you'll make it again.
Yes. I like to hammer it in. I'm like, if anybody missed it, I'm like so narcissistic about it like that. I'm like, I don't know if y'all heard what I just said, but I'm gonna say it twice to make sure you really got it. Like I had a great point. Just make sure you get it twice.
Right. So that's like whenever we have to edit, I have to edit stuff down every day for when we are gone and we play best of stuff. I have to edit out me like not knowing that literally the word for word I've edited stuff where I'm like, how did I not hear that? And I'm like, wait, y'all, there is a great point that has been missed in this entire thing.
And I have made it twice already. Like that's why our segments are so long. I said a thing, I said it again, and then Miguel comes in and he's like, well, but have you heard this thing? And I'm like, we got it.
I'm sure you probably hear a lot on the podcast because we're sort of unchecked on here.
Yeah, I love it.
But that's sort of our what we're always working on to better ourselves as radio people. Kelvin, what has been your sort of like in my career as a radio person that's been like your nagging thing that you've always been trying to work on?
Definitely some crutch words. And that's another radio term, basically using the same word as like your go-to to finish a point. Definitely have had some of those. I can't.
Would have been some of your crutch words.
I can't remember. I got rid of them.
He said, "I'm so good, bitch."
No, not at all. My fiance Oscar been fucking telling me all the time, like, you're saying "mama" a lot lately, and I'm like, well, it's my like thing for now. Like, I like it.
I like that. I like it because it makes me think of you, and it just makes me think of you in such a positive way. So please keep that up until maybe like we all get sick of it altogether.
Yes,
and it's MAWMA.
Mom.
And sometimes I add the W, but at the end, but it doesn't have to. Yeah, mama.
I remember the first time I talked to you on the phone, like maybe a year or two ago, probably 2 years ago. We were talking about advice for stuff, and you were like, "Thank you, mama," and I was like, "Oh," I was like, "What's that? Is that a Miami thing? I don't know, but I like it. I like it."
The first time he said that to me, I was like, I am a mom.
I'm like, I'm not a physical mom, but I do have lots of children.
Mama, and I was like, oh, it's okay. I still love it.
I was like, oh, I'm mama to a lot of gay guys that need help, and they come to me, and I'm like, I'm mama. I was
You're the hen.
Mom.
No, Miguel, you are Queen Latifah in the movie version of Chicago. You have a mama.
Yes. Mama's good to you.
Are you gonna say the one in Precious?
Oh,
I was like, my God.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, no, that wasn't Monique. Ooh,
that
girl.
was not.
Oh, that's true. That's not. That's Monique.
That's okay. Either one. I pictured that gold lame outfit she had on. And
When you're good to mama.
That's Miguel's mama.
Yes. So that's one of your crutch phrases that we
Yes.
find enjoyment. I feel like keep using that because that is what you will be known for in Charlotte, in the first year.
Yeah, I don't think that's a crutch so much as it is a catchphrase right now.
Yes,
Gotcha. Yeah, maybe I do have more of a problem with catchphrases, I guess, maybe.
I don't think it's a problem until maybe they get burnt.
Or too repetitive, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not mad about that. That's my crutch at the moment is I'm either like I'm not mad about it or I'll whatever. I say it all the time. I know I do. And every time I say it, I'm like, shut up. I can't help it. It just pops out.
I think like another, maybe not a crutch, but a critique that I've had before is when I was doing another station, just single breaks, it'd be like condense your words, like shorten them up. And I'd be like, I don't like I want more time to say the fucking story, and like you're giving me 15 seconds. So shortening it up, getting to the point, I guess, a little bit quicker. Individually,
they call that word economy.
Word economy, exactly. And I think that probably has been a critique of mine. Individually, like as part of a morning show, I can't remember much critique. Like I've always been a good like support. Like I've always been a good like a second or a third, give a dirty joke, make the laugh, keep it moving. Like that's always been my role.
My only critique of you, and this is like a critique, but it's a good one. You have these fantastic, funny one-liners that I sometimes can't hear.
Okay,
like, because you say them so quietly as an aside, which they're meant to be. But I've always had a problem with your microphone because sometimes it does sound quieter to me. So maybe it's not that way in broadcast quality. But like, I love when Kelvin has a funny aside and it just hits and then we move on. But I'm like, oh, I hope everybody heard that. And if it were me, I'd be like, yo, mom, want me to say it again? Because I will. But that's so good. It's just sometimes I want to hear it more.
I do have to work on that.
Well,
I normally talk low.
Yeah. You're a soft talker.
Well, and I think it probably comes with learning timing. And I can see that you're still figuring out between us because Holly and I are like, boom, we know exactly when each other is talking.
Yeah.
And so as a new third person, you're trying to figure out, I always say it's like double dutch with us. Like you got to figure out when, because like, as you can tell, especially during the on-air show, it's like a fucking freight train. We're just going. And so unless it's like a opinion thing where I'm like, hey, what's your opinion?
Right.
I'll probably never stop to be like, Kelvin, what do you think? Or what was that? So it's like, you got to learn. That's what Scott had to do for a long time is like figure out when to jump in and jump out.
It's hard.
It's an art.
Real quick before we get to this question, I I just remembered, and I've been saving this to do a radio blog about, and I forgot now that it's been 2 months. But now that we're talking about it, I'm like, oh, I remember that. Someone sent me a message on Twitter about one of my new crutch phrases, apparently. She said, Miguel, I have something to tell you that I don't want to, but I have to because I know you would want to know. You've gotten into a really weird habit of saying, I love it as a response to most things. If you go back to yesterday's hum game, and this was from August, I believe it was yesterday. I think you said it 4 times. I know you like to go back and listen to the show at least once a week, so I'm not sure if you've noticed this. Please know this comes from a good place, and it isn't criticism. I still love you no matter what.
That was the nicest air check that anyone has ever given.
I love it. I love it.
But you do say I love it a lot.
I do. And I'm so glad that she said that, because I remember I meant to bring it to the air. I wanted to like edit a bunch of times that I said it just so I could be like, I love it. 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 I love it.
But you know what it is, Miguel? It's a signal to me. And like, I do notice it, but not actively. I passively notice it, because usually when you say I love it, you've already transitioned into the next thing. That is your transitory phrase. You're no longer, you kind of, in not a bad way, but because you're the board master, you have already checked out of whatever this person is saying. You have stopped listening. They could be finishing up a story about like how they're going to get to school now, and they love listening to, and also they love lions, and hooray. You stop listening. You know what you need to get to next. There's a tease. Going back to, we are on a very strict schedule with timing.
Right.
So you're stopping that. Your brain has already switched gears. The train has jumped to a different track. And I love it is your way of saying, basically, I hear you. I see you. Thank you for being a part of our show. I can't talk to you no more, though, and we got something else to do. I love it. All right, listen, like that's your transitional.
2 songs.
Yes, I love it.
It's very
like
much a double tap on Instagram, like the heart on the message.
I love it. Anyway, on to stuff that matters more.
Right.
We're gonna be like, you can even hear it in the tone. It's absolute like blank face. I love it. So we have to talk to this person. Like that's exactly what it is. So that's why that crutch is a difficult one to break out of, because we all like and need transitions, and it's hardest for you in particular because you do have to juggle so many balls. So I don't really know even what to tell you to do, but I know I just said juggle balls. I got it.
Sorry.
I got it.
Sorry.
I know.
Juggle balls. No, she makes a great point. And that's one of the things as a host that I've tried to work on is like how we do our radio show and how we do the podcast. Like the podcast fits my brain, the way my brain works better than on air, because on air, it's so fast. And like I said, it's a freight train. My mind doesn't work that quickly. Like if we are like when I was a third mic, when we worked with Kramer, that was easy for me because sort of like you, Kelvin, like it was Holly and Kramer going back and forth. And then I'd be like, bazooka, zooka, zaka. And they'd be like, ha, ha, ha. And then Kramer would transition out and I'd be like, all right, I'm good for the next 10 minutes.
He like pushes a chair back. He's like, well, I did my best.
I got my 30 cents for the day, girl. Woo! But now having to be in the conversation with Holly and Kelvin and then juggle, we do live phone calls and do all of that. And so then I also know that when I write the show schedule out with my teases, like that was a different Miguel, because I write those at 4:00 in the morning. And so what made sense at 4:00 sometimes doesn't always make sense at 7:00.
Or in the moment.
Or in the moment. So that's why I sometimes try to take at least like half a second to look a sentence to ahead to make sure that the inflection that I wrote it with still makes sense to me. And so that's why you get that I'm still listening, but I'm like, I love it. All right, it is 7:05.
Yes.
Can we talk about another crutch?
Ooh, please. I love it.
Okay. So they always say, it doesn't matter what you say, it's how you make someone feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one of the first times I ever talked to Miguel and he was giving me advice and I was explaining myself of how unhappy I was at my job. And he would listen to me and then he would go, And I'm like, oh my God, I feel so heard. I feel so understood.
Yes, Miguel is so good. Miguel, yeah, go ahead, Kelvin.
And then when other people call, he does it too. And I was like,
Yeah.
I thought it was just like an off-air thing, like, you know what I mean? But no, he does it to everybody. And then I realized, okay, well, if I felt that way, I'm sure people feel that way too when they listen. So that was just something that I had picked up on, because I remember watching the stuff that you guys would upload back at the old station, and I don't remember really Miguel ever that being his thing, or I would have at least picked up on it.
You know what, Miguel? And maybe you have two different but I'm going to say an addendum to this. By the way, we're all talking in love.
Right. No, please. I love it.
So
I love it.
I actually, it sometimes makes me nervous if Miguel gives me a because I'm like, what? Because sometimes I feel like when Miguel does, it's more like, I kind of think either you're full of shit and you're trying to change my mind on something, and I don't know if I'm having it. Oh, and I'm like, oh God, I don't know if he likes what I just said. Or
it's very pensive. Yeah,
it is. Or you're giving Miguel, so that's the one I'm afraid of it. But then also sometimes you're giving Miguel such new information, and I know it takes his brain a minute to process it. That's his, I've also checked out for just a second, so I can go into my own head.
You're like, let me go into my skull real quick and file around.
He has suddenly like detached from the conversation. He's like,
I have astro projected out of my body, and I'm looking down. I'm like,
He's looking at five. He's like, suddenly, like, he's like, hold on, I got charts and graphs that I need to put off of this. And then he comes back in, and he's like, okay, or like whatever. And so I do think maybe there's humans, because like sometimes I have felt like I've been telling Miguel something indignantly, like I'm like, well, here's what I think, and Miguel will pensively go, and I'm like, oh, he thinks I'm full of shit, and he's just being nice.
So what is it?
I think it's all of those.
It's all of the above.
It's all of those. I think it's
all of them.
Also too, because I always say this off the air, that I am more of a listener than I am a talker. And so me being a host is not natural to me, because I would rather listen, which I also think lends to why I've been able to do this job for so long, is because I do listen and I do care and I do encourage you, because I know what it's like when I do actually open up and I do talk. I instantly know when people aren't listening. I immediately know when someone really isn't there, when they don't care. And if I said, hey, what did I say the last 20 seconds? They would be not able to repeat it back. So to me, that's always been like my vocal way of saying, I hear you. I'm actively in the conversation. I'm obviously, because it's radio and I can't see you, I want you to know vocally that I'm here in this conversation with you. So I do think that there's that. And I do think that there are some times where like,
I know. I feel like if we were to be like something crazy, and it maybe like, I even ask me why, just give me this example. So somebody has some idea for like Black History Month, and it actually is like slightly racist. Miguel's like, and then he'll wait, and then wait for the person to finish talking, and then wait, and be like, okay, well, the only thing is, and then come in with, I'm going to just stamp that one down real quick, because I feel where you're coming from, but you're wrong.
I'm just trying to be diplomatic. I'm trying to
very diplomatic.
Yes.
So there's different I think, but they come out the same, and I just feel the energy depending on which one it is.
I love that. I'm going to have to start doing what Samantha says, because I used to listen to the show at least once a week, but because my commute is so short and there's nowhere I go that I'm in the car for a long time anymore since moving to Charlotte, I haven't been listening as much as I used to, but I think I'm going to start, especially now that Kelvin is here, and I want to like hear how it sounds fully. I like to hear it in the car, how like you listening hear the show.
Yeah, I did that. Sorry. I did that with that segment that we did last week. Or was it this week? Where
it was last week.
fucking horn or the whistle or whatever. Where I don't think it's happened before in Charlotte, but I lost it. I lost it and I laughed and it was so
Giggle fest.
Like, it was. And that doesn't happen that often in my life where I am just gone with giggles, and it felt good in my soul to like laugh, but then also I couldn't get a hold of it even on the air. And so I wanted to listen back and almost like relive the joy. But when I did listen back, I was like, shit. Like, I hated it. I hated it so much.
Why?
Because I never explained why the fuck I was laughing so much. Like, if you're a listener, you're like, what the fuck is funny? I never explained it. I never did get a hold of myself. Like, I was angry and I was like, just because I was having a delightful little chuckle, like I just abandoned the job, like totally. And I was so mad at myself because I thought it was going to be way more hilarious to listen back to. And it really wasn't. I was like, I have no idea how loud it is in my headphones.
It was so loud. Now I know what you heard. Oh my god!
It's like
it was the intro to it that was the funniest part for me.
It was so many things because it was so many things for me that I was not able to express, and that's why I was like, this segment was not that funny, but to me, it was fucking hilarious because. Okay, going back to timing, right?
Right.
We're on a strict schedule. So we've been talking about, and I've been trying to do a very focused job at keeping my trending segments to 2 minutes. Okay. Right. I'm really working on that. And I'm trying to get 3 stories into 2 minutes. Y'all, that is sometimes difficult. Often.
It's a lot.
Me.
It's a lot.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot, especially when you got sound effects and you got moving pieces and I'm not the one pushing the buttons. Unfortunately, Miguel is the one that's pushing the button. So it is a very coordinated effort with these segments or any segment. So the segment starts and I felt good about it out of the gate. I'm like, boom, here's what we're going to talk about. Cardi B, this, that. And like we have a signal while we're on the video together. So as soon as I want that audio to hit, and Miguel's amazing at doing this, I'm like, and here's what Cardi B had to say about it. And then Miguel usually hits the button right away and is like on it. And then immediately you should have heard Cardi B talking and saying whatever she had to say. And it is usually like clockwork. It is smooth. What you have? What?
I have the segment.
Oh, God. Well, okay. Then let me finish explaining because this is what didn't happen on the air. And I'm like, nobody got it. So that was supposed to happen. So in my head, I've got the clock going down. I'm literally have a clock in my hand, a timer. And I'm like, 2 minutes. I did my quick Cardi B intro. I point to Miguel. He's going to hit the Cardi B audio. We're going to get out of that. As soon as the audio stops, I'm going to be like, wrap it up and then move on to the fact that the Cabarrus County Fair is going on and you should take your kids. And I had said to Kelvin, I'm doing a story about the fair. Kelvin's job is to like find some music for the fair. So then as soon as I started talking about the fair, Miguel would start playing fair type music and underneath. And this is how these segments get put together. What happened was the bed goes off. It's trending in the Queen City. And I'm like, Cardi B! I point to Miguel. And immediately there was not Cardi B, her voice. There was like a 2-second or even 1 second silence. And I was like, oh no. So now I think you should play the segment.
Here it is.
Cardi B wants to know how us regular folk are making ends meet in this economy. Boom.
Wait.
Start the whole thing over. No, just pretend we're not live. Just start it over. I can't get this back.
Wait.
I only have 2 minutes.
I know. I'm sorry. Okay, hold on. We're going to start this whole segment over again. I'm so sorry, Holly. Look, I'm so sorry.
Miguel and Holly.
Mornings on Hits 96.1.
Here's Holly O'Connor with what's trending in the Queen City and beyond.
just listen to this.
Like, how are people surviving? I want to know. Like my family and my friends, they're so grateful to have me. But it's just like, yo, what happened to people that don't have a me?
This is what I meant to hit. Sorry, I was hitting the wrong buttons, and it's for a story that's coming up. I hit the wrong music, clearly. Holly, you gonna be able to get through?
Yeah, I'm good. So basically, Cardi B is like
so that. Now, Holly, listen. I know you're beating yourself up, but here's how I perceive a segment like that. This is why I loved that moment, is because you are always the voice of reason. You're the person out of all of my years of editing our shows. Someone will say something funny and we're all like, ha! And Holly's like, that's funny. That's funny. Nothing ever makes you truly laugh. It's like once a week, once every other week. So for you to actually break like that, even though to a listener, especially the new sharp listeners, that it didn't make sense to them, they felt that joy. And that's a moment that they will never forget. They won't remember a month from now what the hell Cardi B was talking about with the economy, but they will never forget the moment that Holly O'Connor, who's always cool, calm, and collected, lost her shit on the air. That's why I love that moment so much as a radio segment.
And it's human.
Man. Right.
Yeah.
Fucking clown music.
Y'all, it was the absurdity and the loud screamingness that it was in my headphones.
Wait.
Like,
Cardi B wants to know how us regular folk are making ends meet in this economy.
But then later on, when I finally crawled across the finish line to get to the fair story, then Miguel played the whole fucking song, and it's even more ridiculous than you think it is.
Wait, hold on. We wanted to know about the strangest thing.
It's so dumb.
I had a hard
Do you
time.
have the music? Just play the music still, because that
Hold on, I just want to hear.
Harris County Fair.
There we go.
It's going on.
So then I wasn't helping you at all at the end of that segment. Listen.
Yeah, you should go check it out. Anyway, it's gonna be really great. It's cash only though, so get to the ATM first.
What was it called?
What is it called, Holly?
The Cabarrus County Fair.
There we go.
It's going on.
Sorry. No, we're done. I think Holly just lost it. It's all right.
I'm sorry. It's like that pipe or whatever.
All right. It's all right. We'll get you more information later in the show.
I'm sorry.
It is 8:05. We've got to catch you up with Blown Off at 8:40. Before that, we did.
Less funny music. Got it.
Okay, but
always.
Please actually always use that music when we're talking about fairs. Maybe a little lower though. Maybe we could pull the pot down just a little bit.
No, I think that's gonna be our new.
It keeps going up in pitch.
Wait, hold on. I'm actually gonna bring the pot down so it's not so loud. But you can.
Okay.
It had the most views on YouTube, so I figured, all right, this is a good one.
Like, I'm putting that on the button bar. Like, that's gonna forever be like all the sound effects you hear. Like, I have this big page that I can easily access everything. That's going on the page. Like,
it could be used for so many things.
Yes.
First of all, what instruments were used in the creation of that sound? And who was like, y'all, I got the next banger.
All right, we're done. All right. That's it, y'all.
I'm done. It's hot. I'm hot in here. It's hot.
So obviously there will not be a podcast on Friday. We will be in Vegas for the iHeartRadio Music Festival. But
really quick, I want to talk about something.
Oh,
Miguel,
yes.
and I could just text you this, but like, let's share it. I'm scared about Vegas.
Why?
Because we're supposed to stay up late, and I'm gonna be tired. I think I'm scared. I'm gonna be tired.
Well, you don't have any responsibilities late at night. It is
social media.
We'll talk about that separately.
I'm scared about Kevin. I'm gonna be like, I need to go to bed.
Listen, it is a collective effort on the Miguel and Holly Instagram. So I will encourage you this weekend, the weekend of September
23rd and 24th.
Thank you. Follow Miguel and Holly on Instagram. You'll see lots of content, behind the scenes stuff from the iHeartRadio Music Festival in the daytime.
It's gonna be lit. What?
Miguel and Holly Uncensored.
Catch it on the iHeartRadio app or anywhere you listen to podcasts.